Yeah, you already know what it is. Your boys, the G Man, baby. Welcome to G Man TV. We working. You see the work. Stay chiseling your mind, body, soul, and spirit. Yo, I'm here with my cousin. Um, we're gonna talk about you know, about some writing and acting, and also talk about hip hop a little bit, and where the state of it is at right now. So first, yeah, let's talk about that. Like, um, the state of hip hop. Where you think it went wrong? Because it's gone wrong, dog.
Um, I was gonna say it's like the state of hip hop. It's almost like it's kind of it's not even my business because it's so kind of feeling so far removed of what a lot of it is, which is fine.
Yeah,
Like it happens with time. You know, you the thing you like moves on in time. From what it was, and it becomes something else.
right, right.
So it's like look, a lot of people that we loved are still coming out with good music.
Yeah,
We were talking about the other day.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, Clips had a great album this year. Slick Rick,
yeah. Nas,
Nas,
Raekwon,
yes,
Ghostface. A lot of people had
right.
good albums this year. Last year that passed.
And there's plenty of younger people who like that style, who have that style. You know, um, and you know, there's enough of that to make me happy. I don't really need to know and need to be involved and concerned with the overall, state of hip hop.
Yeah, right, 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 right.
Because I think it's out of what we understood of what hip hop was. It's out of I don't think it's too big. You can't just it's too big to be called one thing now.
Yeah, nah, you're right. You're right. It is too big to be called one thing now. There's so many, but I just think that we're not in the state of hip hop right now. We're in the state of rap,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I think hip hop was more of a movement. It's a cultural thing, and this is where we come from. Because I'm a '73 baby. You're not too far behind me.
Yeah.
You know, so we come from a different generation of hip hop. More of the we're more like we're more purist when it comes to the state of hip hop. I just think that once social media became full blown, and I think social media uh, gained the most momentum during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because everybody was indoors. So I think that landscape changed a lot of things. Hip hop was already changing in the late 2000s, right? Like 2000. When did Pun die?
2000.
Right? So like he was like the last of the hip hop, like as far as who came up after that that's still like from our generation. Then now we had, the Soldier Boys
Mm-hmm.
started showing
That
up,
era.
and
Yeah.
you know, things like that. And that's what I knew, all right, hip hop is not here no more. This is rap.
Yeah.
Rap is just rapping a couple of words. Hip hop is lyricism. It's mic cadence and punchlines and, culture, you know.
When did 50 and Kanye drop? I think that might have been. They were both around before Pun died, but I think maybe their first albums
So when
came
the
out.
50 was what? When he dropped his album.
And that's what the first one I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
But I
But
know
it was a big album.
that first big album. Right.
It was part of hip hop.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So we got like the 50 Cents. Then we had like the M&Ms. But after that, it became weird. Like it started getting weird.
It all went to the internet, and it's like the doors opened up, and a lot more people were doing it, and yeah, the MySpace, that started back then, and then yeah, now it's Instagram and SoundCloud shit, and it's just it's big. It got bigger, and it got out of control of just putting on the radio and hearing what's hot. Now it's there's so many subgenres of subgenres to it, and yeah.
Yeah. Because whether we got mumble, we got trap,
Yeah.
we got I don't know, crunk, all this other type of, it just went somewhere else. But that's all right. I mean, I don't want to sound like a dated, like old head. I do like certain things that are out now, like the Kendrick Lamar's, the J. Cole's, um, you know, believe it or not, I like some of Kodak Black stuff, because my residence is Florida, even though I'm a New Yorker. So I like a couple of things, man, but like I just can't get with how they dumbed things down, where people are not interested in, they don't make music for the mind no more.
No.
Right? They don't make music for the mind no more. They make music, it's not what you even saying, it's the hook. It's a nice beat, a catchy hook, and then the bars is trash. Then you got the catchy hook, then the bars is trash, but the beat is like Molly Percocet.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, that's all that music to me is trash. To me, personally, is trash. I don't like any of that. I don't really, I don't subscribe to the newer generation of rap, right? And I think, but I think in time, just like everything else, have you noticed how like now the more fitted jeans is turning baggy again? People wearing bell bottoms again.
Yeah.
Now people are wearing baggy clothes like the 90s again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that hip hop, the same. It's gonna come back around to the boom bap era again and that era again. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's gonna capture what it captured in our time, because we seen it for the first time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the audience changed too. That's something that people, the audience changed a lot. Like the audience for hip hop back in the day were younger people. Clearly it still is, but it was us. It was, at first it was just broke kids from the hood listening to other broke kids from the hood.
From the hood, yeah.
And then it got bigger, and it was just, it was all, all the teenagers, from New York and sort of from metropolitan areas were into it. It wasn't in the suburbs, but it was like the forbidden thing.
Right.
Now it's not the forbidden thing. It is just even beyond mainstream. It's almost like passe now. Where it's like it's not. There's nothing shocking to hip hop. There's nothing provocative about it. Anything. Maybe the only things that get provocative sometimes is when there's like a beef. Then everyone starts paying attention.
Yeah.
But like, it's so now it's everybody in the suburbs. It's the entire world. So it's like they're gonna and then when you bring everybody to the party, you lose control. Of what you liked.
Yeah, right. Makes sense. Yeah.
Everyone, it's gonna appeal more to suburban people. So the product is gonna change. It's not gonna be as elevated. It's not gonna be as, smart.
Yeah.
It's gonna be blanket. It's gonna be, it's gonna be so everyone can like it.
That's what I'm saying. So it's now now hip hop is, it's popularity over talent. So you don't need to be talented to rap now, right? See, back when I was growing up, when we was growing up, you had to be talented to rap. You just couldn't get on the mic and say whatever and it be credible or respected from the culture, right? So you really had to work to get the respect of the culture. Now you don't have to work to get the respect of the culture. It's like everything is microwave time. It's like I said, popularity over talent, and but I stick to my purity. I'm a purist. You could call me a hater, old hip hop head hater, whatever, man. It's just I just can't get with a lot of the stuff that's out now.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I'm
You know,
saying? I just can't. So when on the playlist,
yeah,
my playlist is from the 80s to the late 90s, little early 2000s, maybe pun. But after that, you know, they ain't really nothing. I don't have Soldier Boy and I don't have Nelly and I don't have none of that on my playlist. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's where the state of hip hop right now is at. It's in the state of rap, and I think just the internet. I believe the social media changed the landscape because now everybody has the opportunity to rap. You don't even need to get studio time, bro. Your phone, the iPhones now come with apps where you could do right on your phone. Cut your little demo right on your phone.
mm-hmm.
The beat right on your phone, and then cut your demo right on your phone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't. It ain't no studio time. It ain't really getting together with the producers and really putting something together. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different time. Definitely a different time.
But there's some good out there. You know, you got your course Contras, you got your Rhapsodies, you know, you got your Cirocs, you got your, I love Pete and Boz, uh, those the old guys from England.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Say what you say. Those are bars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just like it's everybody. Everybody has a say at the table now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
That all comes down to what? The internet.
Yeah.
The internet has made it possible. Social media has made it possible to bring everybody
Right.
to the table. Too many people at the table. So, um,
it's good that people got paid. A lot of people from in hip hop got paid, but everything has a price.
but but what's the good part about it? So that way we don't end this on a negative thing like we hating. What's good about this is that as individuals, if we don't like something, we don't have to listen,
mm-hmm.
right? So I don't listen to it, right? So, I like these young kids is getting money. I like to see these young kids get money. They're young millionaires. Some know what to do with their money, some don't. But I'm not hating on that. Just the fact that that lyricism and the culture of hip hop has been really, really watered down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just too many opinions, too many people at the table. So all right, so moving on. Now still on the on the hip hop tip, the separation between blacks and Latinos. Not only for hip hop, but like as a culture, like the separation. Where do you think this separation comes from?
Well, yeah, it's to me the separation to me seems kind of brand new. Like, look, of course, there's always been, look, different groups when different groups are together. There's always a separation. There's always something, and yeah, like there's always been racism, especially like in Latino culture. But I grew up in a world where Latinos and blacks were on the same page. We're in the same boat.
Yeah, that's exactly how I grew up.
Like and that because I grew up in 80s New York and hip hop New York, um that to me is what hip hop is. And anyone, and look, as much as people don't like to, you know, I mean, everyone acknowledges this, but people don't like to accept it. That, hip hop is from New York, and there's nothing no one can say about it. Like, and if you were in New York in the while hip hop was
The conception.
germinating
Yeah, the
and
conception.
happening, like if you were there, there was no question that Puerto Ricans were part of this process. Um, and
Yes.
any old hip hop historian that actually was there would tell you the same thing. And all this new shit and all this, because like the idea that Puerto Ricans weren't part of hip hop to me is a very new idea.
Yeah, yeah.
That
No, I agree. I agree. I agree, man.
from the top. Look, hip hop was born out of the blackout of '77. You know, that's
Hmm.
where everyone got the equipment, looted, got the equipment. Hip hop was born. That
Yeah.
was blacks and Puerto Ricans and Latinos. You
Right.
know, um, it's just facts. And whoever is saying that is just you weren't there. Um,
Yeah, I think it's a new thing too. I
yeah,
think it's the new generation of the internet culture that is got their 2 cents into something they wasn't even a part of. Like, I'm born in 1973, Queens, New York. I was around when hip hop was starting to conceive. Like the very first beginning of hip hop, I was around that, and the b-boy era, and all I seen was Puerto Ricans and blacks, Puerto Ricans and blacks that were contributing to the culture, to the hip hop culture. Now we saying that we created the whole culture, no, but to say that we wasn't a part of it, I just don't understand it. And I just don't understand the separation between Puerto Ricans and blacks. I never had that problem with anybody. Um, us growing up, right? Our friends were diverse. We had black friends, white friends, Indian friends, Chinese friends. Like, it
yeah,
didn't
that's
really matter. Like, it wasn't about color. It was about, like, you a cool person or you an asshole. You know what I'm
that's
saying? So that's what it really comes down to.
yeah, that's the advantage of growing up in Queens. And like, yo, not to say that like, we didn't, you know, riffing on each other and fucking snap on each other, and make fun of each other's cultures. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but, it's still, it was real, like, and there's always real racism in New York. Don't get it twisted. Fucking Bensonhurst and Howard Beach and all that shit. Like those communities,
Mm-hmm.
of course. But in a lot of other communities, most communities in Queens, it is diverse. Just it's forced upon us. Like diversity is forced upon us in New York. So it's like yeah, and sorry, I misspoke. Like, I mean, hip hop officially was born in '73. The blackout was '77.
7, yes.
So I think the
Okay.
blackout is where it's sort of like the boom of many people having equipment. But yes, like hip hop was already popping off in those years before.
Yeah. Yeah, it was already popping at that time. Um, I mean, born in '73, so the first like time I heard hip hop was like Spoonie G
Yeah.
and Jimmy Spencer, and those cats that were out,
Mm-hmm.
the Furious Five, and all those other groups. That's the hip hop I started listening to when I was little. You know what I'm saying? So like I seen the conception of hip hop. Now, um, did we have corny stuff in our day? Yeah, we had some corny. We had corny. We had corny stuff, but to just to back to just to say that we didn't have a part in the culture. Um, you have people like Lord Jamal, you have other people too that claim that we wasn't part of this culture, that we stole the culture. Like, how could you steal something you're part of? You can't steal something that you're part of. You know, and it's true. This has to be like a new thing because this wasn't in existence when I was growing up.
Right.
I grew up in Left Rack City. There's blacks, Jamaicans, Haitians, all Caribbean people, like Puerto Ricans. We were all the same people. We were all on welfare. We were all with the food stamps. We were all, you know what I'm saying? Like, we wasn't no separated like from one struggle to another struggle. Like, you know what I mean? So it just blows me
Yeah.
how they even want to have this conversation about how we wasn't part of the culture.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
it's internet misinformation, and it's also people just, nowadays you can really just create your own narrative in your head, and it's because in their head they're thinking it's like what it is in their they can't conceptually can't understand what it is to grow up in 1970s New York, where it's like, yo, you are living across the hallway from a Puerto Rican family if you're black, or vice versa. It's like in a lot of parts of this country outside of cities, it is separated.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Latinos live in this part of the town, and we have little versions of that here.
Little
Even
bit, yeah,
in
yeah, a little
we
bit, but
have
it's more
yeah, we
diverse.
have El Barrio, we have Chinatown, but still, like, we're still forced to deal with each other more, not outside of the cities. And this is a very suburban idea, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Because outside of cities, it's like, oh, the blacks all the way over there, the Mexicans are all the way over there, like, so it's like they can't conceptualize the fact that we were all living on top of each other, and this is how this music came out.
yeah.
You know,
And now
like,
pity
yeah,
backing off of what you just said. In Florida, where I'm at, right? When I moved there, I can I never experienced racism
mm-hmm.
until I moved to Florida.
Yeah,
And then I started to see how the Latinos and the blacks, they not close like that in the South,
yeah,
right? So Florida is still very segregated in a way, right?
right, South, yeah,
With the Latinos and the blacks. I mean, I'm not saying they're all like that because I've been in Florida a long time and I met a lot of good brothers. You know what I mean? That I consider my people. So
mm-hmm.
like, it's not everybody, but I can see that there's still like separation
Yeah,
when it comes to that. But I just wasn't raised like that. This is my blood cousin.
yeah,
We grew up since little kids together. You know what I'm saying? So like, we wasn't raised like that. He always had diverse friends. I've always had diverse friends, all different races and colors and nationalities. Like we embraced everybody that was cool.
and
You know what I'm saying?
it's a blessing. We're lucky like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
In my opinion, and it's the fucking truth, because if we didn't have this kind of diverse and this kind of mixing culture, we wouldn't have hip hop. Period. Like, that's where hip hop comes
Yeah,
from.
that's
It's
where
with the mixing,
it's a mixing of the cultures, man. Hey, listen,
cultures, and music. It's like,
but all
yeah,
I got, this conversation came up because I just wanted to see another person's opinion about, what do you think this separation is? And listen, we don't subscribe to any information that tells people that Latinos wasn't part of the hip hop culture. There's so many things, proof in though at that time that could debunk a lot of this stuff that's being said that we wasn't part of this culture, right? We had a heavy part to do with this culture. Yes, to me, you know, yes, hip hop is a black created thing. We can't take that away. But as far as how we made it blossom, we were a part of that. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? We were a part of that. You know what I mean? So we're not denying. Me as a Puerto Rican is not denying that hip hop is a black created thing. But as far as like the conception and how it was conceived, we had a lot to do with the conception
Yeah,
of hip hop. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
and also it's like hip hop is black music, and like especially in New York City where this was happening, a lot of black people are also Latino. So
Yes.
a lot of a lot of black people that was part of the creation of hip hop were actual Latinos themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's yes, it's definitely black music. But yeah, Puerto Ricans were there.
Yeah, we were
For sure. Like
we were
that's
there. It's
yeah,
just a conception, like
yeah.
where I think where the line gets a little bit misconstrued is that they might be thinking that we're trying to take credit for creating. No, me, I'm telling you, as a Puerto Rican and somebody who was there, I was there, yo. You know what I'm saying? I'm born in the '70s. I see, I witnessed the beginning of hip hop. I'm telling you that there's just a misconception. We're not saying that we created it. We're saying that when it was time to conceive, like when hip hop was being birthed and molded, we
We
had
were part of the orgy.
we were part of we were part of the orgy. Pause.
Some of our no, some of our seed is in there.
Yeah.
To make the baby.
Yeah.
Right? Look on that in that party in Sedgwick Avenue, that historic party where hip hop started.
Mhm.
Like, you cannot tell me that there weren't Puerto Ricans at that party. And no, we weren't the DJs, that night probably, but we were at that party and we are helping that party, and we were at that party making a jump as well. We were jumping in the crowd.
Right.
So that's like, and that is part of the conception, and yes, there are actually Puerto Ricans that were technically 100% part of the actual music making,
Okay.
but of the culture, we were part of the culture because we were here.
We were
There's
here.
no separation.
We were here. We were, and see, that's the thing. A lot of that comes from people who don't know, right? That let's just end it there, because like it's the people who don't know who get on the internet and start talking.
Yeah.
And they wasn't there. They're not even from New York. I tell people, yo, if you're not from New York and you're not between the ages of, you know what I'm saying, like in your 40s, your 40s and your 50s, then you can't talk on hip hop. You wasn't there, yo. You're not from here. Like, I doubt in the conception of rap that Florida knew what was going on with rap in New York. Like, they wasn't part of the conception. So until they wasn't there, right? We're the Mecca, so we created it, right? And now other states and cultures have gravitated towards hip hop. Now it's the biggest genre of music in the world, right? Which I'm happy to be a part of, because I seen it from the beginning. So to me, there's no separation in blacks and Latinos. We don't rock like that. We don't even talk to people who rock like that. I mean, my cousin could tell you, we don't talk to nobody that rock like that, bro. We're not about that. We didn't grow up like that. You know, we walk through colorless corridors. When it comes to people, you either a good person or you a piece of shit. That's it. You know what I mean? That's it. You either cool or you're not cool. It don't matter the color of your skin or what you look like, what your sexual preference is. We're not interested in that, man. We're interested in if you're a good person. That's it. You know what I mean? And all right, so next, real quick, because we're losing natural light.
Magic hour.
Yeah, it's just the magic hour. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, I wanted to for my cousin to discuss, real quick, cause tell them is what you do or what you've been doing the last couple of years as far as writing and
Yep.
movies and things like that.
Yeah, man. So I'm a filmmaker. I work in film. I work for an editor in here in New York City. Um, our last film came out in 2023. It's Killers of the Flower Moon. Um, and that is I started working for this particular editor in 2021. It's like, this is like my day job. But it's my favorite day job I've ever had. I love it. It's cool to be part of the process, being little bit of part of film history. Um, very little part, but
You still
still a
there,
part.
dog. You in the room. You in the room, bro. You in the
You
room.
know.
That's big. That's big, bro. You
So,
in the
yeah,
room.
yeah. So, and that's sort of what I consider my day job, even though it takes, it's not just, it's a little bit more life encompassing. Now that we're gonna, hopefully start working on something new, I might get more involved. So, it might take up, a lot more of my life. But, I call it my day job because I also make my own films. So far, they all been short films. I got about four of them out. Two of them are out in, on YouTube. Third one I'll post soon. The other two have been out in film festivals. That's why they're not on the internet available yet. Um, and yeah, man, I've been involved with the arts since I was a kid. Uh, I think
I remember.
yeah,
I remember, man.
yeah, sometime around junior high school, started sort of getting involved in it, and around high school is sort of when I decided, like, all right, I think I'm gonna do this for my life. Um, Started with theater because that's more accessible. That was just, especially back in the mid '90s. It's not like we didn't have money for cameras, and like
Right.
I didn't have a camcorder, anything like that to play with. And our schools didn't have it, but we had stages, so like that seemed fun and a good outlet. And later on, I joined youth theaters in the city, and that became sort of showed me a little bit more structure, and it could be a little more serious.
Right.
Went out on my own, started renting out theaters on my own, started putting up my own shows. So was heavily involved in theater for like almost 20 years. Then I figured it wasn't, I started changing as an artist. Um, I got my, I had my gripes with theater and why I completely left. Probably, that's another video. People,
Yeah.
people, really, but I figured at the time, definitely, unfortunately, more than now, it looked like film was getting bigger here in the city and moving in a very good direction. So I went back to college, at like 35 to get my undergrad degree. And I got into CCNY, CUNY, eventually got into the NYU film program. So I did that and got my degree. Um, and that's how, I started making films. Um, got my internship, and that's how I got my day job. But going through school sort of taught me the structure of how to make the films. So got four shorts, and now I'm hoping to make a feature. I got the scripts written. I just need good $1 million. Just $1 million maybe to get this feature popping. Nah, I think I can probably get it done with 800,000. Seriously. I know that sounds crazy, but in all seriousness, I need to get about $800,000 to make my next move.
So, I remember, when, on Hancock Street, being in the crib.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you as a kid already, like, interested in, writing things and putting things together as far as like, comic books and things like that. You were writing comic books at an early age.
Yeah.
Putting comic books together and stuff like that. You know, do you think that is something that you were gifted with? I believe to me, things like that is a gift. I think you were gifted with good intelligence and being smart, these are gifts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from, in my opinion, I was, as you were, we were only children.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that's where like a lot of stuff came from, and just playing with toys and creating story, and just stories becoming the most important thing, for a lot of reasons, and different kind of stories. And to me, it's all connected. Like I still love comic books. I don't get to read them as much as I used to because they're actually mad expensive nowadays. Um, but I still get my hands on them, and to me, a comic book, a play, it's it all starts with writing.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? And there is a lot of that I think is comes from intuition. It comes from experience. Yes, there are things that I don't think can be taught. Um, the teaching helps.
yeah,
Helps take those things that can't be taught and you can make something of it. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of it is if you're not born, if it's not that you're born with it, the circumstances that you're born into create it.
yeah. Nah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense too.
yeah,
You know, just to be creative with writing and making something, putting something together
yeah.
is an amazing thing, man. I always admired that about my cousin, man, when we were growing up.
hmm
Just you being able like to put these things together, like as far as you know, the comic books, and I was blown because I was, I'm a little couple years older than you.
hmm
You know, be like, damn man, he's already with the comic books, writing comic books, and I just found that to be quite amazing for a kid his age, because usually that's not the mind frame of a kid his age. It's probably something else, but not writing, putting whole books together and things like that. So um, give them a little bit about, just let them know where they can find you as far as your social media platforms.
Yeah, I am J. Anthony Roman everywhere. I'm J. Anthony Roman on Instagram. J. Anthony Roman on YouTube as far as the films are concerned. Um, That's yeah. I mean, I don't really mess with Facebook that much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah, Instagram I'm on, and that's where I post things about the about my career, and I have a link on the Instagram to my sort of my business, my production company,
Right.
production entity,
hmm
which is No Matinees. Um, and that is, we've done not more, more than just my films. We've done like a couple other films. Um, my girlfriend Liz is, she made a film that we produced.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just a little production entity that we have for tax reasons, and uh, a way to make movies when we have to. Um, and that's a whole different page, which the link is on J. Anthony Roman.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
All right. All right. So we're gonna wrap it up, and this was a good one, man. We're trying to create different subjects and different things that we're gonna talk about. I don't want to, just make shorts and shorts and shorts. And the shorts are good, but we have to get creative. We have to, this is a thinking channel. We're talking about all topics. Um, even boxing. Boxing is coming soon. For me to talk about boxing, you're gonna see me exercising, working out. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see a lot of that nutrition. It's all coming, man. Like I said, YouTube is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So got to keep putting out content and keep serving you guys. All right, bro. It's your boy. It's the G Man, baby. Stay chiseling your mind, body, soul, and spirit. Peace.